Hey, how you doing? It's me, Neil, here with another early video to start the day. I thought it would be fitting to head out this morning and capture a sunrise, then this evening get out and capture a sunset. Why? Well, today, the day of filming, it's the 21st of June, officially the longest day of the year. Welcome to the day of light. Let's start by talking location, because I'm hoping there'll be a secret element to this part of the video. I've had to compromise ever so slightly on where I've gone this morning, and I say that like it's a bad thing, but it's only because sunrise is just so early this time of the year. Instead, I'm just 5 minutes away from my home. I even chose to drive down here this morning as I'm too lazy to walk back up the hill afterwards. No wonder I bemoan my lack of fitness at times, yet we're talking location and we've got a stunning setting for our video this morning. All we need now is some beautiful dramatic light. As you can see, I've come down to the river here at my hometown. We've got the city laid out perfectly in the background, separated by the high tide of the river this morning. It's a setting I've shared from different viewpoints in past videos. This view here though is potentially the best of the lot. We've got two amazing landscapes to focus on. The castle sitting clearly to the right at the top of the hill. The cathedral spire nicely centred, surrounded by the trees and the rooftops. The composition I'm going for is a nice and simple one. It's been captured before and can't really be altered in any way. The first problem we need to overcome when setting up the camera is making sure it's as close to the seawall here as possible. We do not want this appearing in the foreground. Now it's all about making sure that we set up capturing each of the elements in turn. Here, let me show you. Our first element is the bridge over on the left of the scene. It's a perfect leading line as a whole, pushing in from the left of the shot before your eye is dragged around to the right, taking in the city view, the landmarks, like I mentioned, all on offer. Onto the secret element that I mentioned at the start of this video, one secret leading line in the scene here in front of us. Can you tell what it might be? The sky, perhaps? Confused? Let me show you what I mean. As I've said in the past, I hate a flat blue sky. Give me a little bit of cloud coverage any day of the week, like what we've got at the moment. It just adds a little bit of drama, a little bit of atmosphere. What happens if we add an ND filter to the front of the lens, manipulating, slowing the shutter speed even more in these low early morning light conditions? Well, if there is the right amount of wind pushing the clouds through our scene, then we may end up with lines showing that motion. In an ideal world, I'd prefer it if the wind was pushing the cloud from foreground to the background. As it is instead, it's moving from left to right. No matter though, because of course we've still got the bridge over my shoulder leading us in to the left of the scene. And my point here is the fact that even when you've got an ND filter on the front of your camera and you're doing long exposure photography, it doesn't have to be limited to seascapes. You can of course use it in all kinds of scenarios. The main point here though isn't the river, it's the three landmarks to our city view here: the bridge to our left, the cathedral and the castle to our centre. Hence why I've put the majority of the shot on the lower horizontal, as we want to enjoy as much of the sky as possible. Onto the settings, which are a little bit of a tricky point today. However, I will be shooting at ISO 100. We're on the tripod, so we can go for nice clean images. We don't have to worry about any noise. But the difficulty of this shot is timing. I need all the elements to come together at the right time, and I need to be ready. So the best approach I can take here is to keep shooting until I'm either happy with an effort or I give up. Here we go. I think the right moment has just happened. The light is constantly improving around here, meaning the settings I've gone for are f13 for my aperture and a shutter speed of 10 seconds. It'll give us nice milky smooth water in the foreground, whilst in the background we've got a nice amount of clouds giving us a little bit of motion in that background. I'm hoping anyway, with that nice 10-second timer. Here it is now. This really is one of those photography spots where I'm shooting in a small amphitheatre. By that I mean there's just so many compositions to capture in this small area. I've literally moved just a handful of yards from where I was originally standing. I've literally turned just 90 degrees from where I was originally shooting. I'm now focused out towards the open river for our next capture. I'm utilising the seawall over here on the right hand side, leading us out into our scene on this occasion. Naturally, the main talking parts in this shot are the boats in the river. The combination of those two elements are leading us towards the background. Yet for this particular scene is perhaps the minor details that I love on show here. Yes, we've got the wide expanse of the open river leading us out into the distance, so much negative space on offer, but instead it's the little detail that I love. I love how we've got this graffiti, I love how we've got the tide line indicator over here on the right hand side. What I'm tempted to do is focus nicely on the graffiti on the tide line, go for a nice wide aperture so that the boats, the river, everything in the background, it's nicely out of focus. Go for a nice shallow depth of field rather than having to ensure that everything is in focus and nice and sharp all the time. Need to be oh so careful with this shot. Need to check it, zoom in on the live view before moving on to other subjects. Reason for that is because the river will be creating motion all the while the shutter is doing its job, taking that final image. So if you've got a lovely slow shutter, say 10 seconds, you're giving the river to create more motion in and around your subject, resulting in a horribly blurred image. It's always the risk that you'll have to take when you're shooting long exposures and there's any kind of motion, whether it be on a river, on a road with vehicles, hence why you always need to check your images afterwards on the live view. Make sure there's nothing blurred in the shot. Make sure it's nice and sharp how you want it to, because I would hate it for photographers to go away, get back to Lightroom, think they've captured the shot they want, and to find out it's ruined, it was a waste. Trust me, it's happened to me in the past. It has been a great start to the morning here. However, the realities of work are upon me, so must pause before heading out to capture tonight's sunset. Well, another working day is done, meaning that I can now get out and enjoy some more nature before we lose today's light. Summer is probably the hardest season for me as a photographer in one respect. There are a multitude of reasons that make it the most difficult time of the year. We get flat, uninspiring sky. Scenic locations can often be busier. Not that we have the right to hog them all to ourselves. Light and shadow can be harsher, and we have to get up at stupid o'clock or stay out a lot later if we want to enjoy a golden hour. Don't get me wrong though, it's not all doom and gloom, and today has been a perfect example of that. I mean, this has allowed me to get out with the camera before I start work and get out with the camera after I've finished work. No other time of the year is like this, and I know the moment winter returns, I'll be back to being limited to getting it out on either weekends or my days off. I'm actually amazed that today is the first time this year that I've managed to get out for sunset. Certainly with sunrise being all but too early in most locations, and for some reason I've just not got out in the evenings. I've not got out to enjoy golden hour during the sunset, and I'm not sure why, to be honest. Well, that ends today. I guess the hardest part about shooting during sunset is finding the right location. Why have I chosen this spot for sunset this evening? Well, reason number one, in all honesty, it's not too far from home. I've not had to drive too far out of the way this evening. So the second and perhaps biggest reason for picking this place for sunset, well, I've been here before earlier on in the year, and I captured here one of my favourite shots perhaps of 2023 so far. And looking back at that image in Lightroom, even here at on the day, I kind of thought to myself, yeah, this would be a great place to come for sunset. So Here we are. The sunset itself will happen over on the far right. It'll disappear behind the hills. So where we're standing today, we might not even get those dramatic colours. We might not get that amazing atmosphere in the sky. However, we at least have to try, don't we? Just like this morning, I'm going to have to get the tripod out, take a number of test shots as the light continues to change. And then I think it's just going to be a case of grabbing the moment right as it happens and just getting lucky with the light being at that right pivotal moment. But be sure to watch my midweek series on Wednesday, as I'll no doubt talk in more detail about one of these shots that I eventually capture. So provided the sunset happens how I want it to, here's that shot now. We're here at the end of another video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.